with another Future Card Buddified deck profile. This time it's on my Darkness Dragon World Death Count Serenade deck. I say Serenade because I don't own Requiem, but this deck works just as well if it did have Requiem. I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to the Patreon. And let's get started. So our flag is Darkness Dragon World. I don't have a special flag. That's what you're asking. And then my buddy is something not usual. Black Death Dragon's Abigail. It's a trial deck buddy. I mean, I'm not about to buy a light rate Black Death Dragon Abigail, and even if I did, I would put it in my mill deck. Not this one. Or maybe I would consider like buying 8 and putting them both or combining them. But yeah. 6k power, 1k defense, critical of 1, size 1. Pay gauge. When this card attacks, destroy a monster in the opponent's field if you do gain life equal to its size. So this card can attack a monster with soul, and then destroy it by effect. Soul guard, you gain life equal to that monster's size, and then the attack still goes through, because even though the target technically disappeared, because of soul guard, it stayed on the field. So either they can make you whiff an attack, or they can just not be a coward and actually take it. Whatever they choose. I mean, either way, you still gain life. There's not like they can stop it. Size zeros, 2 of Black Dragon L Hopper, 1k power, 1k defense, critical of 1, size 0. When it's destroyed, if you have a Black Dragon cell on your field, destroy a size 1 or less on the opponent's field, and it has move. I run one item in this deck, and it doesn't have the ability where it can attack even if you have a center. So that does come in handy, and plus, most of the time you are gonna have a Black Dragon set because I run a total of 8. So most of the time you're probably going to be able to kill off something on the opponent's field and be like, die. That type of thing. 4 of Black Dragon Laurel. When he attacks, well, it's 2k power, 1k defense, critical of 1. When this card deals damage to the opponent, you gain a life. Basically, if your opponent lets this hit, since there's no way of stacking critical, that means basically you're doing the Gallus thing where after Gallus hits, you gain a life and then they lose. No, Gallus is when they attack, you gain a life. Basically, it's like Gallus, but guaranteedly if this hits, it's gonna steal a life. You're literally just taking the life that your opponent lost for. We're on to our size 1s. Surprisingly, we only have 5. 1 of Black Crest Dragon Von Etchet. 1k power, 4k defense, critical of 1. When this card is destroyed, choose a card on the opponent's field, and for this turn, the chosen card gets minus 3,000 power, minus 3,000 defense. Then if you have a Black Dragon Sun on your field, it loses 1 critical. And then it also has move. Basically, if this thing's on the field and you have Serenade out, or the other set spell that I have, that's Black Dragon Attribute, one of your opponent's cards, that can even include their item too, if they actually have an item, loses 3,000 power, 3,000 defense, if it even has defense for whatever bizarre reason, and, unless you're playing Prism Dragons, and they also lose minus 1 crit. Basically, they just suck. 4 of Abigail, y'all know what he does, because I just went over him like 3 minutes and 26 seconds ago, and I'm not timing this, I'm just looking at the timer. Whatever, you know what I mean. Black Crest Dragon Arios for our size 2 since we're starting on them. So 2k power, 2 crit, 6k defense. When this card enters the field, you gain a life. It also has move. That gain a life thing is iffy, and it's really only here because of that 6k defense. I have more, but I come down to 1 only because he's there because of that defense. But even then, a lot of things can get over that. It's kind of easy. 2 of Black Crest Dragon's Orthbring. So, okay, I'm just going to flip around the camera real quickly. Sorry. So, here's what Orthbring kind of does. It's when he attacks, and when his attack destroys an opponent's monster, draw 1. That's really good. That's really good, because that's basically like a free draw. You get to add stuff to your hand and all that. That's really nice. Okay, I didn't lose my deck. Sorry, I had 4. I'm sorry, I only picked up 2. 4 of Black Crest Dragon Orthbring. Black Crest Dragon's awesome. I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind. 5k power, 5k defense, critical of 1. Pay gauge, and at the end of your turn, if you have a Black Dragon Sun in your field, put the top card of your deck into this card's soul. It also has Soul Guard. Basically, this helps with all types of things. It helps you get soul. It helps you be a nice wall. I mean, really, I've put this thing in the center, and some of the games that I played with this deck, he's been on my center the whole game since I played him on my first turn because I had Serenade, and Serenade lasted like 3 turns. Finally, for our monsters, it's size 3, Black Wings of Thunder Empire Abigail. 6k power, 6k defense, critical of 2, pay a gauge to call it. If you have an item equipped, it gets size reduced by 1, so it's a size 2 now. And when it enters your field, if you have another Black Dragon or Thunder Empire on your field, destroy a monster on the opponent's field. Basically, it relies on Black Dragons because I'm not going to have another Thunder Empire because this is Thunder Empire, but it's good. It also has moves, so it's a field nuke when it's placed. It can act as a good wall, and it's also a really good attacker for a site, and becomes a size 2. So I'm actually okay with this. Run it at 4, run it at 2. I would actually suggest running it at 4, because it seems like it's worthy of 4, in my opinion. Or maybe like 3 or sideboard 2, and then main deck 2. Now into our spells, 1 copy of a set spell, give Darkness Dragon. This is not the Darkness Dragon set spell I was talking about. It happens to be called Darkness Dragon. Set, and at the start of your opponent's opponent's main phase, pay a gauge, call to 2 size 2 or less monsters from your drop zone to your left or right by paying their call cost. You can only use once per turn, and when it's put into the drop zone, deal 1 damage to the opponent. Yeah, well, when it's put into the drop zone from your field, so if your opponent somehow destroyed by FX or he is destroyed by FX, burn them 1, you get to search your drop zone, call stuff, all types of good crap. For some reason they made, when this card came out in the same exact set, they made a Hydra Demons card that prevents both of you from calling from drop zone. I was like, what was the point in that? Because this is a double rare if I'm correct. Yeah, it is a double rare. This card is a double rare, while that card was a common. What was the point in this? What was the point of making them a card that is just, screw that card, it's only there for the burn one? 2 of Venom Splash. You immediately cast a card if you have Black Dragon Sun on your field. Pay 3 life, destroy all monsters. I hate this card so much. The reason why I'm running it is because I forgot to put I forgot to put Abyss Symphony back into my deck for this. I have it still, I just forgot to. I've been procrastinating on it. It's just a worse version of the size 3 Abigail. 2 of Black Art Splits. I don't even know why I'm running this in the first place. You may only cast this card without paying its cost. You may cast this card without paying its cast cost if you have 2 more different role names on your field. Pay a gauge and a life, destroy a size 2 or less on the field. That call cost isn't that bad. I mean, normally you won't use that much gauge, and it's just like 1 life. I highly doubt that's going to change the course of the game unless you're being slammed for a lot. 2 of Poison Drivers, you get 2 gauge, and then if you have a set on your field that's Black Dragon, you gain 2 life as well. Basically, charge 2, gain 2. Really nice. It's just, I guess it's decent. 3 of 100 Demon Sorcery to Makuru. If this was a counter, this would be my way of winning against people. Deal 1 damage to your opponent and gain 1 life. I've been in situations where I put my opponent down to 1 life during my battle phase, and I was like, if this was a counter, I could use it right now and I would win the game. Crap, it's not a counter. I have to wait for my next turn, and then my opponent ends up either killing me, or they somehow reduce my hand to 0, so I'm like, why am I running this card? 3 of, I run it at 4 if I could find my other copy. I know it's here somewhere. 4 of Midnight Shadow. You all know what this does. Nullify the attack if it's not a link attack. To basically the Darkness Dragon version of Art of Body Replacement. 4 of Toxic Zone. The Black Dragon set I was talking about that wasn't Serenade. All monsters on the opponent's field lose 1,000 power and 1,000 defense, and put this card from the field into the drop zone and pay 1 gauge. If you do, burn your opponent 1. If you don't know, Serenade puts your opponent down to 1 life. Paying a gauge for this means your opponent loses instantly. Basically, unless they can somehow reduce this damage or recover life instantly before that happens, they lose. That's why Serenade is worse than Requiem, because Requiem says you win the game. It doesn't reduce their life, you just win the game. So they have to prevent you from doing that, because they can't stop it otherwise, unless you're playing Ashram's Effect, but even then, still, that's 1 more turn. 4 of Black Dragon Shield, nullify the attack, you gain a life if you don't have a center. Oh no, it's the next time that you've taken damage, so that can even count towards your own card. Like, say, Requiem, if you actually did run Requiem and you paid 3 life, you can instead just go Black Dragon Shield, I only play nothing. 2 of Human Eating Sickle Violator. 6k power, 1 crit. We're on our items now, and by items I mean the one item I run at 2. Pay a gauge to equip. When it attacks and destroys an opponent's monster, put top card of your deck into a gauge and you gain life. So you get more gauge, you get more life. It basically, on the first battle of this card, if it destroys a monster, you basically refill the gauge cost and you gain more life. Really nice. Then finally, a card I've been talking about the whole thing, our MVP, Death Count Serenade. If you don't run Requiem, run this at 4. Or run this at 2 and Requiem at 4. You mainly cast card if you have a Black Dragon monster on your field. Pay 2 life. This is an impact, by the way. Set it on the field. At the end of your opponent's turn, put the top card of your deck into this card's soul, face down or face up. It doesn't matter. Then, if there are 3 or more souls of this card, put this card from your field into the drop zone. If you do, your opponent's life becomes 1. Not reducing it to 1, not damaging them down to 1, changing the life points to 1. So if you're playing against another Darkness Dragon Road deck and they go Black Dragon Shield to avoid taking damage, this isn't dealing them damage, this is changing their life to 1. Yeah. And if you think, if you have, Drago Uno, that nice spell that lets you that lets you not take any damage, that does not count as taking damage. That counts as changing their life. It doesn't matter. You can't avoid that. And then combine that with Toxic Zone, I mean, you kind of lose. That was the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. This one is, it used to be my favorite. Now it's not. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to the Patreon, and I'll see you all in the next one. Raise the flag. Can you pull a buddy rare?